The new Antelope Audio Discrete 8 Pro Synergy Core, Thunderbolt 3 and USB audio interface has many of its features, like the mic pre's, available for control from the front panel. However, to really make the most of the Discrete 8 Pro and get under its very powerful audio skin, you need to be familiar with and know your way around its new hybrid control panel workflow. And in this video, I'm going to give you the deep dive tutorial to help you make the most of your new audio interface. The control panel for the Discrete 8 Pro is what we call a hybrid between the original Discrete 8 simple control panel and the advanced control panel for use with the Orion and Galaxy range of Antelope audio interfaces. To run the control panel, click the Discrete 8 Pro icon in the Antelope audio launcher. In the top left of the control panel, we have the power button for the unit. At first glance, it looks like there is no power button on the Discrete 8 Pro itself, but it is available by holding down the top button on the right side of the display. Under this, we have the clock source selection for internal or external clocking. We can set the unit's sample rate, and we have the lock indicator to make sure that the clocking is stable. If you're using internal clocking, no need to worry too much about these features. Over in the top right, we find the device ID or name of the unit, the control panel show, hide and max screen settings, along with the session load and save functions, the ability to activate the talkback, and the settings menu. Here you can adjust the monitor output trim, the panning law, which by default is set to -4.5, but you can change this to match your DAW. We can also choose where the talkback is routed to and where it comes from, be that from the front panel internal microphone or a mic connected to one of the mic pre's. We have two built-in oscillators, which we can use for signal integrity and level setting. We have settings for the line level output and Thunderbolt latency mode, and finally we can adjust the brightness of the screen and toggle the control panel animations. So if you're running on a slightly older, less powerful computer, you can reduce the load that the graphics redraw from the control panel places on your system, just a little bit. Okay, so back to the main control panel, and along the top we have the gain pots and controls for the 8 main mic pre line level inputs. Channels 1 and 2 can also be set to high Z or high impedance mode to accept input from instruments like guitar or bass. The inputs can be paired, phantom power can be applied, and if you hit the cog icon, you open up the controls for the 4 different Antelope Audio modelling microphones. These become available if you have the mic models enabled for this device in the Antelope Audio Launcher application. Under the Preamp Controls, we find the 7 view and routing tabs for the interface, and this is where the hybrid element of the control panel really starts to kick in. Discrete 8 Pro features 4 software stereo mixers that can be used to combine or control signals from internal or external routing. That might sound complicated, but I will come back to some examples later on in the video. The mixers can be viewed in default or 8-channel or compact or 32-channel modes. Each channel on the mixer features a pan control, level slider with LED style level meter, as well as a solo, mute and link controls for stereo linking of adjacent channels. One important feature that is often overlooked is the input to the mixer channels above the pan pot. This is where you can select the input routing to each of your mixer channels, but I'm going to show you a much easier and faster way to do this in a couple of tabs time. The next tab is our digital outs, where we can monitor what signals are heading to our SPDIF and ADAT digital outputs, see where these are coming from, and change them if we wish. The same is true for the Line Outs tab, but we also have a level attenuator for each channel, and you can link all 8 output channels using the link button. The DAW tab allows us to monitor signals going to and coming from the DAW. In the upper section of the window, we can also choose which signal paths route into the DAW channels 1 to 32 from any of our input sources like the mic pre's, ADAT inputs, or the mixer outputs. The next tab is our AFX tab. This is where we can assign the input to our 16 AFX slots and assign the effects and processing we wish to take place. Each slot routes directly to its own AFX output, which can be routed separately. AFX slots can also be paired for stereo operation. There is no compact AFX view, so to access slots 9 through 16, use the slider along the bottom of the panel. Next we come to the routing tab, which is actually a pop-out window, so it can be moved and shown at the same time as other tabs on the control panel. This is the biggest import from the Galaxy and Orion control panel, and it can, if you wish, take the place of the routing sections in all the other tabs. The top section of the pop-out window is the From side, and all signals from route down to the To side. For example, You can route from Mic Pre 1 into AFX1 in, then from AFX1 out to Computer Record 1. This will mean that any effects processing in AFX slot 1 will be committed to your recording. One of the best things about the routing tab is the ease and ability of routing multiple ins and outs at the same time. Click and hold Shift to make multiple selections, or click and hold down Command on macOS and click any I/O in the same row to allow a discontiguous selection. There is also a matrix view if you'd rather deal with a cross-point matrix style interface. But for me, the From To page makes the most sense. Routing configurations can also be saved and loaded from this pop-out. The final tab is Reverb. This is the reverb processor that's built in to the Discrete 8 Pro and can be applied to Mixer 1. Reverb can create anything from a tight room sound to a massive hall-type reverb effect. It's very smooth and can be great if you want to add some room ambience to your headphone mixes. Each channel has an effects send and a pan control. The bottom section of the control panel deals with our headphone and monitor outputs, and we can choose each of 2 pairs of headphone outputs with their input assignment, the main or monitor 1 output and the secondary or monitor 2 output, which can be toggled between a second set of monitor outs or a pair of reamp outs. Each output has its own volume control and large bar graph style meters. Let's set up a basic routing, a kind of default state that allows each of our inputs to route to one of the computer record channels and allows us to monitor the same signal from our main monitors and our headphones 1 output. The Discrete 8 Pro Synergy Core is a 32x32 or 32 in and 32 out interface. So for ease of use, let's set the first 8 mic pre's to route to Computer Record 1 to 8. I'm clicking on Preamp 1, then holding down Shift and clicking on Preamp 8 to select them all, then dragging them down to Computer Record 1 to 8. Now let's do the same with the 8 mic emulation nodes and the 16 ADAT inputs. To hear signals coming back from the main stereo outputs 1 and 2 of our DAW, I'm going to route Computer Play 1 and 2 to Monitor 1, 1 and 2, and to HP or Headphone 1. So the same audio that hits my speakers will also hit my first headphone output. Now, I want to route my mics, which just happen to be Antelope audio modelling microphones, through some AFX and print both the clean, unaffected, the mic model only, and the AFX signal to my DAW. So, we already have the direct signal and the mic emulation signal heading to channels 1 to 8 and 9 to 16 respectively. Now we need to send the mic emulation signals down to AFX 1 to 8 in, then route AFX 1 to 8 out to Computer Record 17 to 24. So now that's the naked mic pre's being recorded to channels 1 to 8 in the DAW, the mic pre emulation channels, which are the same program material as the mic pre's, but with the Antelope audio mic emulations being recorded to DAW channels 9 to 16, and the mic emulations with the assigned AFX being recorded to DAW channels 17 to 24. Now let's look at using one of the mixers to monitor both the incoming signals from my mic pre's and the multiple playback channels from my DAW. I'm going to route the mic pre's 1 to 8 to mix 1 in 1 to 8. Then I'm going to route Comp Play 1 to 8 to mix 1 in 9 to 16. I'll also route Mix 1 out to Headphone 2 for monitoring. So now I can monitor the 8 mic pre's directly. This is also known as monitoring at source, and the 8 mono or 4 stereo pairs coming back from my DAW, and set the mix that I want to hear through my headphones, which are connected to the HP2 out in the Mix 1 mix window. Now finally, let's look at a scenario where we want different mixes to go to each headphone out, a monitor mix from the DAW, AFX, and mic modelling options. Get ready, here we go. We have quite a lot of the I/O already configured from our previous setups. However, what I want to do is swap out the direct monitoring in Mixer 1 for the outputs of AFX 1 to 8. Now, as I play or record along to the outputs from my DAW, I'm not just hearing the direct signals from the mic pre's in HP1, I'm hearing the tone dialed into my AFX slots, and in Mixer 1, I can add reverb from the amazing Reverb. Now what we can also do is duplicate the I/O routing to Mixer 2 and route its output to HP1 and set up an alternative mix. Maybe the other artist does not need to hear so much of me in their cans, but wants a bit more click. Well, whatever they need, they can dial it in and be sure they're not affecting what I'm hearing, and all the time not affecting what's being recorded, either with or without effects processing. So I think you can see that using the new hybrid control panel with the routing matrix, you can easily create complex, interesting and very useful recording, processing and monitoring paths for your recording sessions using the new Antelope Audio Discrete 8 Pro Synergy Core audio interface. For more information on the Discrete 8 Pro Synergy Core, as well as the full range of Antelope Audio hardware and software, remember to check out antelopeaudio.com.